Tonight we start with a Chris 6 News exclusive. A Corpus Christi man is one of 6 Citgo executives jailed for more than a year in Venezuela. Tonight his daughters talk about how their father's imprisonment at the hands of what they call a corrupt Venezuelan legal system is destroying their lives. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Rick Spruill.
Alirio Zambrano is one of 6 Citgo employees arrested on corruption and treason charges for which the Venezuelan government has shown no evidence. Now, calls from the family to let him and the rest of the Citgo 6 go free. While Venezuela boils with unrest, 6 men, 5 of them U.S. citizens, all Citgo employees, held without a trial in Venezuela for almost 450 days and counting. Among them, Alirio Zambrano, a 24-year Citgo veteran who at the time of his arrest helped run the Citgo refinery right here in Corpus Christi. The news of his arrest shocked his family.
It didn't make sense, and honestly it's been a blur ever since, and it's been a blur for all 6 families involved.
Now, if you're wondering why a bunch of Citgo executives and U.S. citizens would be jailed in Venezuela, there is an explanation. Citgo belongs to Venezuela's state-run oil company PDVSA, and they're headquartered in Caracas. So when summoned there for a meeting a few days before Thanksgiving 2017, the men went without hesitation. It was a trap. The men were arrested and accused of corruption, embezzlement, and treason. 14 months later, and there have been no court hearings, no evidence, and no answers.
It has been 14 months, and it's enough.
Alexandra Forseth is the oldest of Alirio Zambrano's 3 daughters. She says the men are scapegoats of a corrupt government.
These men are innocent, Rick. They're dads, guys that have been here for decades.
She says the men are in the basement of some sort of a government building somewhere in this Caracas neighborhood, but it's hard to know which. This call came from her dad last Thanksgiving from inside the jail, almost a year to the day after his arrest.
Hello, Sandy. This is your daddy calling, saying that I love you with all my heart. I'm so proud of you. I hope that you're having a good time. Even I know that I'll be seeing you sooner than later. I love you, my baby. Bye-bye.
Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department tells 6 Investigates it cannot comment on the status of individual citizens. But those who have made it inside the jail tell the families that Alirio and the other men are malnourished, isolated, and largely forgotten. Forseth says her dad's 6-foot frame down to about 135 pounds.
We're just trying to elevate this case and say, look, on a humanitarian basis, this cannot be.
Inside, the men do a lot of praying with homemade rosaries like these. And because they're engineers, they occupy their minds and their hands, making little mementos to send back home.
Yeah, my dad made this out of garbage bags in the basement. A lot of the men have made these for us.
Citgo is not commenting on what the company is doing to get the men out and support the families in the process, but one thing is clear, the families are struggling.
My mom had to sell almost everything we had in the house and move to an apartment with my baby sister.
Alexandra says that's because Citgo suspended her father's pay, along with the rest of the Citgo 6, last May.
Received a letter in the mail, undated letter in the mail with no explanation. Just says your pay will be suspended.
So as the answers come slowly, if at all, Alexandra and her 2 sisters want the world to know they may be bent, but they're not broken. And they're not going to give up until the Citgo 6 come home.
I know that my dad and all of these men, if we were in the same situation, they would never give up on us, and we're never going to give up on them.
If you'd like to keep up with what's happening with these men, follow Free Citgo 6 on Twitter. Rick Spruill, 6 Investigates.